Ultra Rising, Ultra Rising Collective. How you guys doing today? It is your host, Lord Hika Soul Ra, and aka Black Butterfly. Don't forget about that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen. So today's is episode 2 of If You Know Better, Do Better Relationship Podcast. You feel what I'm saying? So let me slide through so y'all can see the thumbnail real quick. Yeah, we about to get really in. Today's topic of episodes 2, If You Know Better, Do Better, is fatal attraction, right? So we're going to be exploring the concept of fatal attraction. We're going to be breaking down a lot of things that I believe may pique your interest. So just to go on and get acquainted real quick, I want you to hit that subscribe bell, right? If you here watching me and if you come through watching me, I want you to hit the subscribe bell. Before we get started, I got to hit you with the disclaimer because that's what I do. So either you take me as I am or you don't take me at all. Either you mess with me or you don't. Either way, it don't matter because at 222, I mess with me, I hugs me, I hold me, and that's all that matters, pimpin'. Ashe. Now that we got real and well acquainted, I want you guys to listen. Do me a favor. Type down in the comments, what do you guys think about the new podcast? How do you like it? I just want to share you guys. I want to keep the series a little short, right? Anywhere between 30 or 45 minutes. But I also want to just say something real quick, guys. Relationships. The reason why I chose to get my credentials, in spiritual life and dating coaching, spiritual life and dating coaching. The reason why I went to accredited actual transformation school, and I got like actual credentials, right? And I got these back in 2021 because like I already could see that relationships as we know them, the idealization of the relationships, our perspectives of how we see relationships and the templates of relationships are changing, right? And so I knew that for the future, if you wanted to do anything that would like get a lot of money as far as coaching goes, as far as health coach and business coaching, those are very effective fields. But also relationships, right? Relationships, because a lot of us have been stuck in toxic cycles, not even really realizing that this was what we was in. And so my whole goal is to basically start to impress that subconscious mind with the new perspectives, with fresh perspectives, with truths, with actual organic, authentic truths of, what our now moment of relationship should look like, right? Because we know what society built relationships on and what they wanted them to look like in the past, but now we in the future. So now it's time to go ahead and update everything, guys. I told you that 33 energy just not even gonna play with them. So comment down below if you've ever experienced a toxic relationship, right? You don't gotta write your story, just comment down below if something that you have, put Ashe or something like that. Also comment down below if you ever had a domestic violence type of connection, and comment down below if you've ever had a fatal attraction. You know what I'm saying? This should be good. Comment down below if you ever had a fatal attraction, all right? So let's get started, guys. Let's get started on today. So we will be exploring the concept of the fatal attraction. Welcome to your relationship podcast, episode 2. So our intention. My intention is to bring awareness to domestic violence abuse, to bring awareness to narcissistic abuse, with the hopes of encouraging the souls who are experiencing these aspects to make the decisions to get out before it turns toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like my intention is to bring awareness so that people can either transform the energy or exit themselves up out of that vibration before it gets fatal, before it gets toxic, okay? And so here is a list of that, a list of our objectives, right? So what you will learn today, and on the list right here, it's going to show you what you will learn. So let's go over my list, what you will learn today, right? You will learn what is a fatal attraction by definition and my own personal perspective. I got to throw my own personal perspectives in there, okay? Let's see what else you will learn. You will learn how do fatal attractions manifest into the realities. This is very, very important, family, because it's all about self-awareness right now, and it's all about being self-aware. You feel what I'm saying? We don't really want to be woke, okay? Over here, no offense to the woke folks, but we want to be self-aware. We want to be self-aware. We want to be aware. You know what I'm saying? That's what the power is. The power is being self-aware right now. You know what I'm saying? Deciding. Ooh, the power is deciding to be self-aware right now. So for instance, you can write in the comments, I decide to be self-aware right now. You feel me? Listen. If that hits your soul, type in the comments right now. You know, I decide. Listen, the power comes within the decision. That's why indecision has no power, and it brings what? Distorted manifestations, because the energy cannot respond to a confused vibration. That's why through ions, it's been nothing but confusion on here, because we wasn't creating no real frequencies. And that gave space for others to just violate and manipulate and do what you do. You know what I'm saying? To each his own, So, number 3 is you will learn what is the ethereal mechanics behind the fatal attraction. Like, we're going to talk about the science of it. You know, I always got to bring it from the highest perspective. How to notice the toxicity in any connection before it's too late. So we're going to tell you how to point out the toxic traits of a energy, so that you can get up out of there. So not only is we going to bring it to your awareness, we're going to give you tips and solutions of what to do to help yourself get out of it, coming from a perspective of it being a toxic relationship, as in dating. Now, some people have experienced toxic fatal attractions, and it may not be dating. It could be somebody seeing you online. It could be somebody seeing you at the store. It could be a neighbor. It could be anything like that. But this aspect is, we're talking about actual toxic relationships between 2 or 3 or whatever type of individuals, like that, like love triangles, things like that. Also, you're going to learn. We're going to answer the biggest question. So, does the collective like to experience toxic relationships, or is it just a false memory program, or is it just trauma based? Next, we have number 6, and that is, are there any benefits of being in a toxic relationship? Okay. All right, so those are what you will learn today. Let's go ahead and jump exclusively right into it, okay? So, in my own perspective, what is a fatal attraction? So, you know, I like to break things down in words and fragments. And so, to me, fatal means decreed. It means destined by fate. It means deadly. It means destruction, right? Attraction to me means a force acting mutually between particles of matter, tending to draw them together and resisting their separation, a type of chemical bonding. That's how I see attraction, right? All right. Now let's post. Here is how they see attraction. Here is how two definitions of how, you know, I looked it up, and this is what they say that fatal attraction is, right? I'll give you some time to check that out. And here's the other one. All right. So now that we know exactly what fatal attraction is, let's talk about a few examples of what it is, just in case you are the one that has a fatal attraction in your life. Maybe you could be the one that's creating it, making it fatal, not wanting to let go or whatever, or you never know. But just in case, to try to bring to your awareness, I'm gonna give you a few examples. So one example is someone who is overly unhealthy, dangerously infatuated with a person, place, or thing or idea, right? It means to be obsessed, unhealthy obsession, unhealthy stalking, unhealthy dark energy or dark magic spells, okay? So if you are at home and you are looking up how to remove a third party, or how to unalive the competition, then it's a great chance that you may have a fatal attraction with yourself and others. If you are stalking your prey when they rejected you, then it's a big chance that you may be in that energy of a fatal attraction. If you're in that energy or the attitude of, if I can't have you, nobody will, 9 times out of 10, you may be in the energy of a fatal attraction. Let's go to question number 2. How do fatal attractions manifest within a reality? Okay. Well, there are a few reasons how this happens, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to bring the most prevalent aspects of what I currently am feeling at the moment, and that's that. So number 1 is unresolved childhood trauma. Number 2 is disconnection with self and intuition. Because if you're connected to yourself, then you're connected to your intuition. But if you're disconnected to yourself, then you're looking for somebody else to connect, to fill that void that you got within. And that void disconnects you from your true self. And instead of your intuition, is your ego driving you. You know what I'm saying? That you're ego driven, right? Fatal attractions are ego driven connections, right? An unconscious obsession with one's own devil energies. Wow. Unhealthy spiritual attachments with our shadow selves and its reflection. Control and manipulation, a desire for power over others. Jealousy, unconscious jealousy the most. Unconscious envious greed and lust. One of the biggest aspects is fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. Also, one of the biggest is fear of being abandoned. Okay? Fear of being abandoned. All right, on to the next. So what is the ethereal mechanics behind a fatal attraction? The fatal attraction, the attraction draws up a force within each atomic particle expression to be transformed. Basically, it's a transformation process. This force that is drawn up between the two particles or the individuals is a negative energy charge, right? And the negative energy charge, it grows big and it creates more negative energy. I mean, it attaches to more negative energy, and then it becomes more powerful. Now it is a negative entity that is created from negative thoughts. And so basically it's a process between both part or all individuals of alchemy. How to notice the toxicity in a connection before it is too late. Pay attention to the red flags. Because there are cycles to toxicity. It doesn't just happen like it builds up to something, right? This is the negative energy that we talked from the last question. It builds up into a negative entity. That negative entity then basically learns its host or its subject, and then it begins to manipulate the person to act out of rage, to act out of their emotions, to act out of unhealthy anger. That not because there's healthy anger, there's unhealthy anger, okay? And of course, fatal will be attached to an unhealthy anger because it ends in a fatality, okay? So how to notice toxicity in a connection before it's too late. Pay attention to the red flags. Also, pay attention to the patterning behaviors because it always happens in cycles. So pay attention to how this person treats themselves and how they treat others, because 9 times out of 10, if they treated somebody like this in the past and they haven't healed that energy, that they're probably gonna do you the same too. And that's just the way it is, man. People, the actual human, the human acts on repetitive, like on freaking patternings and stuff like that. Also, a tip to help you to get out of that, if you start to noticing the patterns and everything, and that is setting firm boundaries by removing yourself from the equation. Because if you remove yourself from the equation, then there can be no problem. You know what I'm saying? There could be no problem if you remove yourself from the equation. All right, next is does the collective like to experience toxic relationships, or is it just trauma syndrome and the collective playing out unconscious false memories? Well, to me, I feel that it's both. Right? I feel that, yes, the collective consciousness is playing out old templates that don't serve us and old memories that are false and are untrue beliefs because they're unhealthy. And we don't have to agree to nothing that we don't want to agree to, especially if it's for the beneficial of you and everybody else involved. But at the same time, I do think that people actually think that they like toxicity, and I think that they feel this way from my perspective of just reading people and reading energy is because this is what they've been used to. This is what they've been raised on. This is all they know. So you don't know nothing different. You can only do and know. You will only react on what you know. You ain't gonna do nothing different if you don't know different. You know what I'm saying? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You won't get different until you do different. All right, and that's just how I feel about that. Are there any here we go? Are there any benefits of being in a toxic relationship? No. There is no benefit of being in a toxic relationship. If you are in a toxic relationship and it's safe to get out now before it becomes fatal. Get out now. Let me give you a tip. This is the tip of the video that will help you to get out of any toxic union or relationship or whatever you may be in, any domestic violence situation, narcissistic abuse, however it may be. And that is knowing this, that once the lesson is learned, and there is no more space or room for you to grow, then it is time to go. Okay, that's the number one sign. If you feel like you're in a situation, it's always arguing, it's always sadness, we ain't getting along, that means that you're not resonating with each other's perspectives. And as per the science of us being here scientifically in chemistry, there's not enough chemistry for the bond to go along, and they're going to repel against each other. Okay, especially if the lesson has been learned. And even if the lesson hasn't been learned, sometimes one person learns the lesson and the other person doesn't learn the lesson. In that case, there's still going to be different vibrations and they won't be an attraction together because there's nothing to attract the two together. Okay, so once you realize you can't learn nothing in that connection no more, it's time to go. Once that toxic connection becomes really toxic, then you might as well call it karmic. And most karmic connections, it's like no way out of it as far as saving it. And I think that's it for those parts. Now what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna bring in the clip. We're gonna watch the clip, the video footage and the video clip of this scenario, and then we're gonna basically do a reaction to the scenario, just a quick reaction, and then we'll be out of here, guys. Peace.
That placed him at the crime scene. It was all the proof they needed.
So before heading to trial, detectives give London one more chance to come clean.
Now investigators are bringing in all the facts and the proof to show London, and eventually he lets them know that he wants to tell his side of the story.
London says that on the night of October 16th, he'd gone over to Cecily's apartment.
Cheers.
They were supposed to be having this romantic evening together.
But he said that Cecily kept constantly texting somebody, and when he eventually snatched the phone from her, he realized she'd been texting Malcolm this whole time.
I'm like, man, I know you ain't texting dude when I'm right here. You know what I mean?
In his mind, how dare Cecily text the other guy while she's supposed to be paying attention to him?
I say, okay, look, I know you're still dealing with dude. I ain't about that. But don't lie to me about it. How you gonna disrespect me like this?
What do you mean disrespect? What do you mean?
They started arguing, and it went from a verbal fight to a physical fight very fast.
She grabbed one of the knives out the kitchen. We wrestled, I grabbed a knife out of her hand. So now I'm enraged.
At this point, Cecily is completely trapped.
London, please put down the knife, please. Please.
He stabs her once, and the first stab wasn't enough for the rage he said he was feeling, so he stabbed her again.
He just begins to stab her over and over and over again.
It's about all of this anger and suppressed emotions that were lying dormant, and it was just waiting for an opportunity.
Don't you know, like, when you finally get to that punching bag, you just punch it that one time, you're like, you just keep punching it. That's the type of anger that I feel.
We're talking about this physiological release in his body of all of these suppressed emotions.
Even with Cecily on the brink of death, he says he couldn't stop.
London stabs Cecily for the final time in her groin.
Was so mad. I know what she was doing, man. And I shoved the knife in between her legs, man.
He wanted her to feel the pain that he felt.
In his mind, he felt justified.
Even with his taped confession, London stands before a jury to plead his case.
He had already told them that he did it. I know it appears logical that he would not then try to fight the charges in court, but he didn't want to plead guilty.
So in court, London's defense tries to blame Cecily for what happened that night.
The defense was trying to make the case a self-defense case, that Cecily grabbed the knife first, and it was only after Cecily grabbed the knife that London took the knife and used it against her.
When the jury finishes deliberating, it's clear they see London for the killer he is.
They found London guilty on all of the counts that he was charged with.
He's sentenced to life in prison without parole.
There was just a great sense of relief.
So, family, man, how did that clip go, right? That was just a little clip, but just a long story short, the guy who had killed her, he had a murder case or whatever back in the day from something about another girl or whatever. He had beat the charge, came out early. The whole point of the matter is that she already knew his history, right? She already knew his history, and she already knew that he wasn't to be played with, right? And she knew his history, and she played with him. She disrespected him in his time, right? You got to think about it. Not everybody can handle disrespect. Like, you know, he wanted her attention at that moment. You know what I'm saying? Even though they probably knew about each other, who knows if she was telling the truth? Who knows if she had told him that she still was feeling the other dude or not? But either way, while they're sitting together, he already is one of them guys that is, you know, really, really aggressive, apparently. You know what I'm saying? So I guess she had, you know, the family was even saying that he was the good guy for her. So really from the outside looking in, it looked like he was a good guy for her. But obviously it wasn't, because she still had real feelings for the other guy. So instead of just trying to work it out with both of them, I guess she couldn't do it. So she still was talking to both of them. And unfortunately, it ended up fatal. You know, he ended up going out in rage. He went out in rage and he did the things he did. You know, you can't blame her for him making that decision. But, you know, we be knowing each other's triggers, right? Because she was with him for a while, long enough to know the man's triggers. And so it's just certain things you don't do when somebody has told you that they don't like this, or when you see somebody's emotion. When people do anything out of emotional rages, I'm telling you. And so this is a situation that could have been stopped way before it got to the point of her being murdered. You know, like, it could have been there. She was playing both sides of the field, and sometimes it's unsafe, especially depending on the energies that you got going on. But, you know, I feel like she was a part of the fatal attraction. I feel like, you know, yeah, he was the fatal attraction because he got emotionally outraged and murdered her out of envy, right? That she was giving her attention to the other guy. You know what I'm saying? But I feel that she was actually a fatal attraction too, because she invited that in that space. You know what I'm saying? She invited that there. She even attracted him. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I meant by it be more than just the person who actually did it. So, you know, today, guys, we tapped in really, really deep. We went through a little scenario. I played a little reaction. And, you know, so look, type in the comments. Let me know how y'all like this. And, you know, watch the rest of the video and get to the ending or whatever they got going on. Peace.